In the first video, we discussed a simple but foundational question: ownership in cloud computing. In the second video, we explored provider ownership and how that ownership shapes cloud behavior. Today, we complete the picture by focusing on the other side: user ownership, sometimes called consumer ownership. This is the part of cloud computing that surprises people the most, because when people move to the cloud, they often feel like ownership has been taken away from them. They don't see the servers, they don't touch the hardware, they don't control the data center. So it's easy to assume that ownership and responsibility has mostly disappeared. But the opposite is true. In many ways, user ownership in the cloud is more concentrated than before. Let's start with a clear statement. In the cloud, you own everything related to intent. The provider owns the environment. You own what you choose to do with it. That distinction defines user ownership. So what does that actually include? As a cloud user, you own your architecture decisions, your configurations, your access controls, your data, your application logic. None of these are abstract. Every security group rule, every IAM policy, every storage setting is a direct expression of user ownership. The cloud will do exactly what you tell it to do, even when that's dangerous. This leads to one of the most important truths in cloud computing. The cloud is not unsafe, the cloud is obedient. If data is exposed, it's usually not because the provider failed, it's because the user allowed it. User ownership is enforced through configuration, not physical control. And configuration mistakes scale extremely well. Let's look at a common example. You create a storage bucket. You upload sensitive data. You accidentally make it public. Nothing broke. Nothing malfunctioned. The cloud simply followed instructions. This is user ownership in action. You owned the data, the access decision, the outcome. The provider owned the infrastructure, but not the choice. Another key area of user ownership is identity and access. In traditional systems, access control was often implicit. If you had network access, you had power. In the cloud, identity is the control plane. Who can read data? Who can deploy code? Who can delete resources? These are not provider decisions. They are user-owned decisions, encoded in policies. This is why identity is central to cloud security. User ownership also includes how systems are composed. The cloud gives you building blocks: compute, storage, networking, managed services. But how they are combined is entirely your responsibility. Two users can use the same cloud provider and end up with completely different outcomes. One gets resilience, the other gets fragility. The difference is not the cloud, it's the ownership of design. Now here's where cloud behavior becomes subtle. Because users don't own the infrastructure, they sometimes assume they don't own reliability. That's a mistake. Cloud providers offer capabilities, not guarantees of correctness. If you deploy everything in one region, you own that risk. If you don't back up your data, you own that risk. If you rely on a single service dependency, you own that risk. The cloud enables resilience. It does not enforce it. Let's use an analogy. Imagine a professional kitchen. The building is owned by someone else. The equipment is maintained by someone else. But the meal is yours. If the food tastes bad, the stove didn't fail. The recipe did. Cloud computing works the same way. The provider gives you a world-class kitchen. You own the cooking. This also explains why cloud incidents often feel confusing to newcomers. They ask, how could this happen? It's the cloud. But the cloud doesn't reason. It executes. User ownership is about decisions made in advance, not reactions after failure. The cloud amplifies intent, good or bad. Another aspect of user ownership is cost behavior. In traditional IT, cost was mostly fixed. You bought servers. You paid for them whether they were used or not. In the cloud, cost is behavioral. You own how long resources run, how much data moves, how efficiently services are used. Unexpected bills are rarely provider surprises. They are ownership signals. The cloud charges you based on what you choose to consume. So user ownership is not smaller in the cloud, it is sharper. You own fewer things, but you own them more precisely. And precision demands understanding. This is why cloud maturity is not about memorizing services. It's about internalizing ownership boundaries. Great cloud engineers don't fight the cloud. They ask, what do I own here, really? And then they design accordingly. Let's summarize. In cloud computing, users own intent, configuration, identity data, architecture outcomes. The provider owns the environment. You own the consequences. That division is not a flaw. It's the entire point. In the next video, we'll bring provider ownership and user ownership together and formalize this boundary into a single model, the shared responsibility model, because once you can clearly see where provider ownership ends and user ownership begins, cloud computing stops being mysterious and starts being predictable.